And then the next match we got here, we're almost at the end, guys, at least for this one. We got the Acclaimed Anthony Bowens and Matt Caster with badass Billy Gunn going up against House of Black, Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, and Julia Hart just looking hot in the background. No,
Oh my gosh.
I mean that's her role. She plays it well. Anyways, no holds barred six-man tag team match for the AEW World Trios Championship. And I don't remember too much about the match, really, because it's been, it's late at this point of the show. And yeah, they actually won. That's the part I was surprised. I was surprised that they actually won and they got like the trios title. So the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn are now champs. And I guess they kind of played in a way that, Billy Gunn is not going to retire, or at least on his own terms, not because House of Black or whatever. So that's what went down. But yeah, there you go. Any thoughts, guys? Or any thoughts?
You fell asleep.
Huh?
You fell asleep during that match.
I did?
I thought you did.
No, I mean, usually for pay-per-views, I'm still more...
Maybe I did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I have to think about it.
I'm going to let Jack Knives talk this one through because I'm not going to lie. While you guys are talking about falling asleep during the match, I really did fall asleep during this match. Like, I do not remember jack shite about this match whatsoever. I fell asleep. I apologize. Jack, I'm going to hand it to you.
There is one thing I do remember, though. Let's go, Jack.
The only thing I remember really is like, well, to be fair, the match was just kind of there. Honestly, it was like, it was okay. The one thing I did think that was really, really nice was during the House of Black's entrance, they did a little tribute to Bray, which was really cool. Like where they brought out a lantern and they left it in the walk. Yeah, they brought out a lantern and they left it on the walkway for him. And I'm like, that's really cool. Like that was really cool. I found it weird that they were all wearing white. That was kind of weird. Then, I mean, I don't remember much of the match, to be honest. It was just kind of like there. I do remember the spot with Julia Hart where they did I'm not calling it that stupid move. The fucking top rope move.
Yes, they did. I remember that. We were joking about it. We were joking that Julia Hart got scissored at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And I'm like, that was the only thing I remember of the whole match.
That towards women, they held her. They for lack of a better term, spread her legs and fucking Anthony Bowens.
That literally is what they did. They literally spread her legs and did a move where they literally scissored her, literally. And I'm like. And the people loved it, and I'm like, and then I remember just feeling like, well, there goes House of Black's push forever. They're going to be fucking mid-card, pre-mid-card, double mid-card, lower mid-card jobbers. So I'm like, well, I said, well, all of them should pack up and go to WWE now, or go to New Japan, because AEW's not going to use them. So that's literally all I could think of at that time, and my suspicions were confirmed the following week when they showed the new belts, which are the single worst design I've ever seen of a belt, ever. Because not only are they Pepto-Bismol pink, which is the worst fucking color I've ever seen a belt, but they literally have scissors in the back. Get it? You get it?
Scissor me, daddy. What that?
Yeah, I'm like,
it was weird to me.
And it's not just weird. The thing of it is I said this from the beginning, and Johnny was with me on this, and Will was with me on this in the beginning. When they first started doing the gimmick, I literally said, it's fucking weird that they have kids doing this shit. It's still fucking weird. It's even weirder now.
Well,
could you imagine your kid going up to you and going, Daddy, I want the scissoring belt?
I'd be like, no.
You know, the pink one, the pink scissors.
No.
What the fuck? Like that's a legitimate thing you can ask for now.
I'm pretty sure that's every conservative father's like worst nightmare.
Yeah.
So
And I love how everyone's all like, "Oh man, wrestling was controversial back in the day." I'm like, yeah, it was, but we had a slight, not much, a slight bit of subtlety. Slight. Granted, there was some shit, especially pertaining to Goldust, that was
I was
how
just
the fuck
about
did
to
it
say
get on
that.
TV? Aside from, stuff with like Goldust, most of it, I'm like, it was raunchy, but it wasn't like insanely like over the top. Like, it wasn't like that as horrible. This is just like, there's zero subtlety to it. Like zero. And I'm like, I can't. I will never like the Acclaimed. I'm sorry. I will never like them because it's a stupid fucking gimmick. It's a stupid, like, not even them being rappers. That I don't give a shit about. I'm like, it's literally just, I don't get it. I'm sorry. I just can't get over it. And like I said before, and I'm calling it now, and you guys can timestamp this shit. House of Black's careers are done in AEW. It's going to be jobbers and nothing else because they won't know what to do with them now.
After What's-Her-Face got scissored, okay, in all honesty, at this point, I was starting to get sleepy. But that woke me up when I saw What's-Her-Name getting scissored in the ring. I mean, I was like, oh my God, what is Billy going to do to her? Why is he opening her leg? No, they're not. No. The Mark, wake up. Look. Pay attention. Look.
The Lord was one you were saying, listen. They're scissoring Julia Hart on live TV.
And here's something that's interesting. I guess they can get away with that over there because I don't think that would have flown over here like at all. Think about it. I mean, can you imagine that being done in front of an American audience at a live event and getting away with that? Do you think?
I don't know. I mean, them Twitter folk might have gone crazy over it. That's for sure.
The AEW marks would have still loved it. Let's be 100% honest with everyone. They would have been like, "Oh my God, it's amazing! Spot of the year! Oh my God, 5 stars! Oh my God!"
Hey, I resemble.
That was her spot, isn't it? He hit her spot all right. Oh, wait a minute. That's y'all kind of joke. See, I've been around y'all too long.
Johnny.
I don't remember much about this match, honestly, because the only thing I remember about the match was an entrance with the lantern for Bray Wyatt. I thought that was really cool, and that spot with Julia Hart. I mean, I don't remember anything else. Oh, and the rap, and I did like the rap that the Acclaimed did. I forgot what they said, but I thought it was kind of funny. But I got all the references. But it was just okay. But I kind of do hate the fact that the Acclaimed actually won this match. I think would have made more sense if they would have lost, or so if House of Black would have won. And it would have been more like a match for Billy Gunn to go out on because, maybe he's retiring it at Wembley. I think that would have worked out better for him. And it would have been nice because then, the House of Black say, you know what? We sorry put you down. You put up a good fight. We respect you. Something like that. I think that would have worked out better for me personally. And that's something I would have preferred to see, as opposed to what actually happened. But I don't care that Julia Hart got scissored. I mean, she knew what she was signing up for. And the thing, but I will say this about that spot. I do like the fact that she got in the ring thinking nothing was going to happen to her. And I'm saying, no, that's not how it works. You put yourself in the ring, you better get hurt. You know what I mean? I'm an equal opportunity. I'm an equal opportunity person. If you slap someone, you better get slapped back. I'm one of those types. Hey Johnny, what did you think about this match with Julia Hart being scissored by a gay guy?
Yeah,
Maybe that's why
that's probably a sneaky way to get away with that. You could have said, well, I mean, he was gay, so it didn't mean nothing by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's probably why they said, oh, it's okay because he's gay. So he's okay for a gay guy to scissor her. But if it been Billy Gunn jumping off that rope trying to do the scissoring move, it wouldn't have worked out. It's been like, oh. I don't know.
I where Julia would have said, stop that, daddy.
Oh, my God.
Okay,
I hate the claim for a split moment. I hate the claim because I'm thinking of these bad jokes. Okay, go ahead, Johnny.
in all honesty, I totally forgot about this match, and I don't even remember about this match. I don't even know if I watched this match entirely, if I forgot. I mean, definitely I did not know about this match with Julia Hart. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, how inappropriate this would have been.
It's also weird because they're the faces doing that. You know, like if it was like a heel team or whatever, I think it was played off for laughs. It wasn't played off like ooh, they hurt a woman. It was so weird. That whole spot was so weird.
But you know, knowing their claim, I mean, they just have like this weird gimmick. They just brand themselves a certain way. They brand themselves like it's funny. It's you know, scissory daddy, like in the rapping and all that shit. But yeah, other than that, I don't really remember this match at all. Like, that's odd. I did not know about the scissoring events that happened in this match. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
Don't worry, Johnny. We still love you.
This one, only Jack and I went for the Acclaimed, and I'm pretty sure Jack only voted for them because, like, he was voting in the sense of he's sure that's how they were going to be booked, not because he actually wanted him to win. So you can bet on that. But the main event here.
What did you think? What did you think, Ninja? Did you say anything?
Yeah, I was asleep the whole time of the match, so I didn't even watch it. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Oh, good. You didn't miss anything.
Okay, so the big thing, the main event was MJF versus Adam Cole singles match for the AEW World's title. Honestly, I mean, it was a long match. It was a lot of stuff, but like, I don't remember too much of like the main match itself. I remember some of the spots. I remember that I like how the friendship was actually tested because this time you were playing it straight, you know. There was a part where MJF was actually going to pull out his diamond ring while Cole was distracted or whatever, but he like he just couldn't do it and put it away. Time ran out and MJF won by default or something, but then like Cole wanted to keep going, so yeah, they pulled it, they rung the bell and kept going extra minutes and whatever. I think it was a reference to a previous match where MJF won for a timeout, so this time it was kind of like, give me 7 more minutes, and this time MJF obliged. And so I forgot the exact move that MJF used to win the title against Cole. But the part that got me was the ending was just epic. It was like soap opera, emotional type stuff. So when the match ended, Cole was obviously pissed that he lost and everything. And MJF tried to cheer him up, and it's kind of like, hey, you know, the Ring of Honor tag team titles, we're still tag team partners, right? And you know, Cole angrily like swatted the belts away, like, fuck this shit, you know, he wanted the title and all that. So MJF now starts getting pissed and like heartbroken or whatever, and all like you're my friend. You only did it for the title, and he's like, yeah, I want the title. Oh, you only did it for that for that's all this was for, or whatever. So MJF actually like turns around. You know what? Get over with. Just do it. Get the fuck. I don't care anymore. Get over with it. If you want to be the champion so bad. and he just turned his back waiting for, Cole to take him down, pin him, and whatever. And Roderick was in the background, of course, Skornick's lover, and he's all, do it! Like, do it! And Cole's like picking up the belt and everything, and then like he just can't do it, he drops it, and these guys start hugging, and then Wendy did the teleport thing in the room and started chopping onions in the background, and it's kind of like I'm not crying, you're crying. And they just, I mean, they were, I
used my ninja skills. I used my ninja skills. I had to do that, because, I mean, we all were crying.
It hit the feels some, and they were just manliest hug ever, manliest tears ever. And I mean, they're still buds. But that really surprised me, especially with, on one end, MJF has had the history of being, friends with Jericho and Cody and backstabbing when the time was right. And then with Cole, we kind of saw like, little hints of he. I'm just using him for the title and stuff like that. So for them to, I think it's like interesting. It's kind of like we're going to pretend to become friends, but they actually became friends during the process. That kind of shit, that kind of story. And I don't know there's any example. I mean, the closest example I could think of is the whole thing with Sheamus and Cesaro, because that was the thing. They hated each other. I don't know why at the beginning though, but they hated each other. They had a best of 7 where each match they just the hatred grew more and more, because you beat me, you whatever. They became forced partners for a tag team tournament type thing. They won it. They became champions. They still hated each other and were forced to work together, but eventually they became friends. And after a while, like, they became the bar, they became legit friends, but it was like hatred, force, like that. So that's like the closest thing I could think of. MJF kind of stringing Cole along, Cole kind of thinking of backstabbing him, but when the moment came to it, oh man, like they became real friends, whatever, kayfabe, all that. But yeah, that was one hell of an unexpected and emotional kind of ending, at least from my perspective. I know some of you hated it or whatever, but just damn. Let's Wendy go first so she can kind of share my sentiment before everyone else. I'm assuming the rest of you are gonna trash it, so let's have Wendy say some things.
Okay, so I thought it was kind of cute, and that's probably not something you want to hear, but I thought it was a cute little ending. I mean, honestly, I still was expecting something to happen where Adam just turns on MJF and make him like a full-blown heel or something, because it seemed like they were building MJF to be a babyface. And the fact that the scoring lover was still there with his fake neck injury, what about my neck, Adam? What about my neck? What about my knees? I mean, you're my friend, not his. No, but seriously, I thought it was kind of cute at the end. I said, well, if they're going to go this route, they might as well do it right. And I think it showed character growth for both of them. So if that's where they want to go, that's where they want to go. But that was sweet at the end, especially when MJF turned around, like, go ahead and do it. And I was like, oh man, the crap's going down now. What's going down now? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then, he put it down, then they had their hug. And of course, I wanted to make fun of that because, it's so silly. But at the same time, it works for the story that they seemingly trying to tell. But I still find it weird that they let MJF retain the title, which means he's going to have 2 title runs here. And what Jack was saying earlier too, there's no guarantee that he will even, even defend the world title because he'd be so busy with the tag title or something. I don't know if that was a good move, but we'll see where they go. But yeah, I kind of thought it was cute. I was with Mark on this one. Kind of, sort of.
Is just kudos to them also because, when you think about the wrestling, it still is, like they say, it's an art form, but it's also a lot of the acting too, because, I mean, yeah, all the physical stuff, but it's like, like when The Rock does a promo, if you don't like really believe and jive with what he's saying, then he fails, right? So it's like good acting and passion when he does a promo and stuff like that. But
yeah,
here too. So just the acting of the overall everything and arguing for the bell and MJF saying, you know what, screw this, it's not worth it. Here, hit me with it then. That's what you care about.
Yeah, that was emotional. That was like really emotional. They really seemed to put their all into doing all that stuff. So you got to give some credit for that. You know, I mean, they really, trying there. I mean, I still find it a little, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what to expect from that point, but it was emotional. It was. I mean, it really surprised me, but it was emotional. But just in a general sense, because of the tag team match and then this match, it didn't turn out the way I was expecting it to. And I guess having Adam turn heel on MJF would have been too predictable when you think about it, even though it seems like it would have made sense to go that way. I guess. I mean, this is a situation where it was really 50-50. I mean, now as for the match itself, I guess it was pay-per-view worthy because of the length of the match. Yeah, I guess this was pay-per-view worthy, I suppose. I guess Panda, what did you think? I mean, I think we should let Jack go last for this one. I think Panda and Johnny should go first because I would love to hear all of Jack's opinion, all of his honor at the end.
All right. So, honestly, this comes in number 2 as the manliest hug in wrestling ever. I still say number 1 has got to be Cody versus Dustin at the very end of that one, but that's for another chapter. Now, I agree with what you're saying. The actual acting and the drama that was performed in this match, top tier. I mean, you've got MJF and you've got Cole, who are pretty good, solid actors when it comes to acting in the ring. Now, as far as it being a match, even with it being a time over, to me, it was just a mid-match. It was just meh. It was there until the time ended, and then it got extended again. 5 minutes more of meh. This could have been, again, put on an AEW Dynamite show. But
in comparison to the other matches?
In comparison to the other matches, yes, I will say that. Like the physical match itself could have been on Dynamite and it would not have made a difference. Now, honestly, I thought that they were going to double cross each other on this one, but it does kind of make sense considering they have the Ring of Honor titles. And basically, that's going to cause a bit of a longevity for MJF to have that title because of the fact that he'll be too busy trying to defend the tag team titles to even put up his actual title on the line. So he won't have that much time to just compete with it. But it will still give him more than enough airtime, him and Adam Cole. So I don't know, the match was just meh, but the ending of it, yeah, it was kind of heartwarming, little Hallmark moment, but that's all.
I think what made the match good on its own was all the backstory, the whole, Adam Cole and MJF slowly starting to have a friendship, and it gets to the point where eventually they didn't even backstab each other. I was actually surprised nobody betrayed nobody, nobody backstabbed nobody. Yeah, it was kind of surprising actually, considering, MJF's nature of always having ulterior motives. I'm kind of surprised. But it's also kind of interesting because it's like MJF has always seemed like the tough guy, so this kind of shows that, well, he became that way because of all the hardship, I guess, he had in his life. So now that he had somebody that's a good friend, that kind of softened him up a little bit more, that made him trust people a little bit. So that's kind of an interesting perspective, storyline-wise. The match, I did find it to be good. It was very long. It was very, going back and forth. And of course, when when I forgot how the like when he won because the match was a draw or whatever, and they had to keep going or whatever. Like that I think that's what made it. That's what made the match really good. I think that's what sold the match. Now, considering some of the other fights they had in the pay-per-view, I still think still pay-per-view worthy. Of course, there have been much better matches in the pay-per-view, but I think that in terms of this one, of the All In London, I think this was a little bit more on the pay-per-view side of the match compared to some of the other matches they had. So that's what I'm going to say about this one.
Yeah, like I said, like the
I'm just here for the jackknife rants.
No, say like with Johnny, like what you guys were saying though, even though what Panda was saying that this would have been this could have been like a dynamite match. I don't know. I still say in comparison to some of the other matches on this card, because in all honesty, I'm going to be honest, the whole card felt like it should have been on one of the weekly shows, just to be fair. But if I was going to pick a match to be on the pay-per-view in comparison to all the other matches, that one I would have had as pay-per-view worthy, and I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see that. But it would be pay-per-view worthy mainly because they kind of actually built this one up. It didn't feel like it was just tossed in. And that's the only reason I feel it's pay-per-view worthy, even though I do agree with Panda that it probably would be better off as a weekly show match. But in comparison to the others, I'm just indifferent about this whole show, honestly. Yeah, okay, I'm ready. Huh?
It was something I was so looking forward to, like it's kind of like the reason why to watch this pay-per-view. I think what really hits this pay-per-view differently is just because I think London sold the show like they made like the Wembley Stadium made the show, like, because honestly like some of the matches were not really that great or that spectacular or forgetful. But just the scenery that you're in that big arena and you're in London and England and all that kind of stuff, I think that's what really made the pay-per-view kind of memorable in that kind of way. But yeah, some of the matches are kind of like But I do think that London did sold its charm for this pay-per-view. Like honestly, like it's like, it's kind of like I'm watching this pay-per-view because this is London, pretty much. I don't know if I'm making much sense, but yeah.
And they did sell out, but even then, that's kind of a faulty argument too, because it was in London and they don't get as many live shows compared to like here in the US. So of course, they're going to get a lot of, if you're like a fan of live wrestling shows, that was going to, get a lot of ticket sales regardless, I feel. Because I think a lot of people got the tickets without even knowing, without even knowing what the card was going, what the our cards were going to be, the matches and everything. So it was going to be like that anyway, because it is London and they don't get as many live shows as we do in the US. So it's like a special event,
I have to say, compared to the All Out, All In, they did promote it that heavily. Like on social media, like if you go to Instagram, like you see, they talk about deeper, compared to the All Out. That I'm kind of like, damn, what's the promotion? Where's the promotion on that one? I hardly even knew a thing about the All Out pay-per-view, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, let's get to what Jack's got to say, because we still got to talk about like the aftermath and a quick summary of All Out. So let's move on to that part.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right. I've been thinking about this for a long time, ever since everything we now know, not just with the Punk incident, but in general. And I'm sitting here thinking, and I've been thinking about this a lot, and this, I mean this sincerely, having watched wrestling for over 30 years. This was 100% the single worst world title main event I've ever seen. Worse than the finger poke of doom. Worse than Wyatt versus Goldberg. Worse than Bash at the Beach. Because they had the mercy to be short. They had the mercy to be like, hey, you know what? It's stupid, but at least it's short. Here, they did everything wrong. I'm not talking about like, you could have just had them fight. Legitimately. Really. I mean, you have two guys who are really, really great athletes. You could have had them just in the ring fighting each other. It would have been a fucking awesome match, honestly. I mean, with MJF how he is now, Cole being Cole, it would have been a freaking awesome match. But instead, they spent the entire match cock teasing. The entire match, that's all it was. It was gonna betray. It's the equivalent of imagine going to a really nice restaurant. Okay. And you've been wanting to go to this restaurant for a long time. And you built up going to this restaurant. You planned it. You got the car. You got a suit. You got all that. And you go there and you pick out the food that you want. And the waiter has the plate. Then he brings it out, then comes back. Then he brings it out, then comes back. Then he goes to the kitchen, then he comes back. Then he's holding the plate. The entire time he's just holding the plate. Then he puts it in front of your face and lets you waft it a couple times. And then just lets it, and he's like, oh, just wait a minute, hang on. You almost get it. Hang on. And then he eventually grabs the plate, throws it at the fucking door. And then he says, tip your server, and leaves. That's what the entire match was. The entire match was teasing the betrayal. Teasing a title change, teasing. And I'm not saying I wanted a title change because I didn't think they were doing do title change because I'm like, come on, they're not. It's obviously they're not. But that match, I thought about that. I'm like, they destroyed any sort of semblance of building a story here. Because the minute they look at each other and then they get their stupid shirts out, their tag team shirts. Then they go outside, they get the stupid tag team shirts. And then they're wearing the tag team shirts and they're doing their moves, and their moves don't hurt each other because wink, wink wrestling. And then they do all this stupid shit of like, oh, I'm an honest guy. Stupid shit that I'm like, for fuck's sake. It made me embarrassed to be a wrestling fan, legitimately. Like, I was thinking, if this is the show I were to show people, I would be embarrassed. This is like, holy shit, is it bad? Like, I didn't think about it until I really replayed it. The way that they almost ended the match with a double clothesline against each other. Get it? You get it? Because they're tag team. Get it? That's the entire match was that. The entire match was It's like that. You remember that scene in Jurassic Park with that Wayne Knight where he kept popping up? It's like That's the entire show. That was the entire match. And then you have Roderick Strong, who was like, oh, hey, you got the gate. You got the gateway. You could literally, this is what you could have done. Legitimately. You had Roderick Strong out there. You could have just had a spot where they're knocked out. Have Roderick Strong while Cole's passed out. While Cole's passed out, Roderick hits him with the belt. Okay? He hits MJF with the belt. And then Cole gets up, and then he hits Cole with the belt. And then you're like, whoa, like that would have been a big spot. You could have something like that. Instead, you have to ruin Roderick Strong's character. The entire character that he's been, like, this whole thing of him coming into AEW, he's destroyed now. He's destroyed forever. Because now he's always going to be the jaded ex, like you guys keep putting. He is. Yo, my friend was always with my friend and friends. And then And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're building this thing with the Kingdom. And then they have the Kingdom come out, and then fucking Matt Taven, who I was like, I've been begging to see Matt Taven do a promo battle with MJF, calling him a Melvin and just trashing on him, because Matt Taven is what would happen if MJF had fucking talent in the ring. Anyway, boom. Anyway, there's your promo part. Anyway, I kept thinking the whole match was just teasing. It just kept teasing the betrayal. No one gave a shit about the actual match. Let's be honest. Did any of you guys actually give a shit about the aesthetics of the match? Like the real, like all you guys have been talking about is the story. None of you gave a shit about the match because the match itself was inconsequential to the story. And then the story ended up being a non-story. And then the part that really was like, oh, this is a big fuck you from AEW, was the part where MJF, the most self-centered sack of shit in wrestling, says, I don't care about the world title belt. I'm like, that betrays his entire character. His entire character is about that fucking belt. And now he doesn't care about the belt because of friendship bullshit. That's like Smeagol saying, I don't need no ring, guys. I'm good. We're fine. Everything's cool. That doesn't make sense for his character. So now you've ruined Cole because he won't go any further than being MJF's butt buddy. You won't let MJF drop the belt, so you give him a tag team title. So he's going to be a world champion for, I don't know, let's say 1,000+ days, probably toppling Roman Reigns' record by 200 extra days, so that way he'll have a long beard by the time he drops the belt. And you destroyed Roderick Strong's career because now Roderick Strong is never gonna get over. He's always gonna be hated now by the crowd. So I'm like, you somehow had literally every piece in place to have a simple betrayal storyline gone wrong. Even if you had MJF retaining, you could have just built in the planting of the seeds of the deception of, have just a good, decent match. They could have just played it off seriously, had a really good match. And instead, you somehow not only created a clusterfuck that lasted 30 minutes, that the clusterfuck turned into a cock tease that somehow also ended up destroying 3 people's credibility. And yet, in hindsight, Punk is what ruined AEW. Punk? Really? But this is okay. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, man. I'm like, wow. I feel embarrassed being a wrestling fan watching that match. I'm sorry. And like I said, I kept thinking, like, the amount of wrestlers who have sacrificed so many things, lives and their families and all of this stuff to even get a shot to even step foot in Wembley. For that, I'm like, fuck you, Tony Khan, you fucking hack. This isn't even bad writing. This makes bad writing look like, this would be like if Tommy Wiseau wrote a wrestling match. Like this. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's Jack. How bad I'm sorry, Jack. I'm sorry, Jack. I have to interrupt you there. You were tearing me apart.
Yeah, I really could see it. It literally was like Tommy Wiseau. Could you not? You could literally see Cole saying that, couldn't you? Think about replaying that whole thing in a match. Couldn't you see Cole looking at both of them and going, "You're tearing me apart"? Tell me you couldn't see that happening. And yeah,
Vince Russo is writing this.
Yes. Russo had the fucking foresight to at least go, hey, I know what gets over, even with the morons. The problem is London, London would eat anything because London is the same problem. I love London to death. I love the English fans. But the problem with the English fans is they're so hungry for actual wrestling because they don't get it very often that it's the same argument with Saudi Arabia. Like when they did shows in Saudi Arabia or India, because it's like exactly what you said, Wendy, because they're so starved for wrestling, any wrestling is good wrestling. You could have literally you could have a ring full of dwarves covered in pudding doing jumping jacks and call it wrestling. And they'd say, top tier, bruv, top tier. I love it. 5-star rating. That's literally what they would do because they're so desperate for any sort of competition. And that's why they like, I even said, but like, I really think about everything all together. And I really want to ask, and I asked you guys at the beginning of this, I've asked you guys after the pay-per-view, I've been saying this from the get-go. Do you think this show, and specifically this main event, is worthy of Wembley fucking Stadium? And the answer is gonna be no across the board. And you all know it's true. Like, this is a show. Yeah. Yeah, because, and that's the thing. And they're gonna claim forever now, the reason Wembley sold out was because of the betrayal between Cole and MJF. That's not true at all. The stadium sold out before they had a single match booked. I'm like, man, I feel like I love looking back at what Punk has been saying in the promos over the years. And when he said in the infamous media scrum is 100% right. When he said, I'm old, I'm tired, I work with fucking children who can't even run, who think they can run a wrestling promotion, but they can't even run a fucking Target. He's 100% right. You gave everything, and this, I kept thinking about this majorly, really thinking about this. Any indie promotion on the planet would literally give up their firstborn for an opportunity like Wembley. And this is what you deliver? This? Like, come on, bro. Even GCW would have put on a better show. At least they would have, yeah. So, anyway, not so great, half star.
Out of half.
Okay, but that's my overall thoughts on the whole main event. I can't stop thinking about it because I keep thinking like this is your story. Where do you go from here? You're not gonna have him betray him?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I mean, it's a swerve technically because you wouldn't expect them to stay together, to stay friends or whatever. But at the same time, I mean, it's predictable for them to betray each other. But where are they going with this?
I remember there's a line. I remember Finn Balor actually said it. He was talking about it in an interview, and he said they asked him like, what was one of the most important things Dusty told you when you were in NXT when he was alive? And he said, people think being predictable is a bad thing. It's not if you know that what you're doing is working. And the thing of it is all of the seeds were there. And it could have worked. I'm not saying the title change. The title change, again, never would have got over. But like I said, just off the top of my head, like Roderick Strong coming in, hitting them both, clocking them both with the belts, and then just having them go, hey, let's just you and me down the middle, straight up. And then like the double clothesline, the double count out, and then I mean, the match ended the same way. The match for that ended the same way as the Elite and Bullet Club Gold match, which was a roll-up. That's how it ended. MJF won because of a roll-up, a schoolboy. I'm like, dude, it's a 29-minute match. Jesus. I just keep thinking about like, man, I watch New Japan Wrestling and like I see these guys busting their ass for 40, 50, 60 minutes straight, just bleeding for this fucking for just even a fragment of Wembley, and this is what they're competing against. Wow. It's like it just makes me laugh. I'm sorry for ranting all this, but this is hilarious to me.
2 or 3 weeks for that rant, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's why we had to postpone because you were because you're ranting all that time. Yeah. We had to calm you down enough so you can rant for this cast.
Yeah, I still owe you some sedatives that you wasted on here.
Oh, you're good. Don't mind me. I'm just wiping the shit off the fan. Let me go ahead and get it out.
See, now that was a pipe bomb. I think that was.
Yeah. So I was the only one that went with MJF. I think the rest of you all were like assuming that Cole was going to take it. And so just to go real quick over this, because, the other one we didn't do predictions or anything. The grand winner of this was actually Jack Knives. It was real close. Jack and Johnny were pretty much like tied throughout the rest of the thing, but Jack in the end won 6-5.
Was that bad off? That bad
4 points. Panda was the only one that had like 3 points. I had 4 points. It's mostly because I think Panda was trying to go against the grain. But of course, there were some matches where all of us were wrong, so no one got a point. We had at least 2 of those where we all went for the wrong guy. So it doesn't benefit anyone in that case. But yeah, way to go.
Like I said, a lot of these matches, some of them were it was just hard to try to figure out a winner, I guess you could say, or who you think was going to win, because it's like, well, it could go either way, but you have to think a certain way to pick correctly, and that's the problem here.
Yeah, the biggest one was when we all assumed that Hikaru was going to retain, so of course all of us lost that one. That was like I think that was one of the offenders where we didn't get a point. And let me try to see if there was anyone else that we were...
What do we think was the match of the night? If you guys are going to say the main event, aren't you? You're going to say, damn it.
I don't know, honestly. Well, that's right. I didn't see on the 0 hour, and I didn't.
Hikaru Shida was the only one that match where we all went for her and we all lost. Match of the night for me is kind of hard to say. I don't know. I mean, it's like you guys said. I like more the story behind the main event than the actual main event itself.
Yeah.
It went on too long.
In-match thing I cared about was the thing where MJF was going to bring out the ring and get ready to sock Adam Cole, but he had that face where, no, I just can't do it, and he put the ring back. That's like the only thing that, Yeah,
I mean, like I said, and people that are saying like, oh, well, because it was unpredictable, that must mean that it was good. I'm like, yeah, I also wouldn't have predicted a ring full of snowmen and a disco ball. That doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah. I wouldn't have predicted MJF walking out with those like movie theater 3D glasses or whatever, but doesn't mean that the match is,
Yeah, that doesn't mean it. Like, just because, like I said, it's exactly what Finn said in that interview with when Dusty told him, is like, it's okay to be a little unpredictable as long as it works. And I'm like, yeah. And I really do believe that. I'm like, there are some things that I think the thing that pisses me off the most about it wasn't just that. It was like, it kind of just like pisses you off. It's kind of like, it's like, imagine you get like your kid a bunch of tools and a bunch of like everything to basically build a Gundam set or something. And then they basically don't even follow the instructions. They just fucking covered in super glue and hammer it together and go, good enough. My Gundam's fine. And you're like, but it's not, because it's not a Gundam. You just smashed a bunch of pieces together. It's like, it's a Gundam, Dad. What's your problem? I'm like, but my money. That's what I feel like. I'm like, God damn it.
Like, how did you turn this Gundam kit into a stag beetle? How did you do that?
Turned into a Beetleborg.
Yeah, exactly. But I honestly was like, I think that's kind of my biggest thing. And then I could quickly go over All Out. It wasn't really much to write home about, but that even that felt like a big giant collision.